Energy in Sweden describes energy and electricity production, consumption and import in Sweden. Electricity sector in Sweden as the main article of electricity in Sweden. Overview. The emissions declined 7.7% in 2008-2009 was at least partly influenced by the European economic recession of 2008-2009 and not only by the sustainable changes in energy consumption. From 2008 to 2009 the change in the US was a 7.0% decline and in Canada was a 9.6% decline. A report was published in 2011 by the World Energy Council in association with Oliver Wyman, entitled Policies for the Future, 2011 Assessment of Country Energy and Climate Policies, which ranks country performance according to an energy sustainability index. The best performers were Switzerland, Sweden and France. Consumption. Buildings and the residential sector currently account for 40% of Sweden's energy consumption. Buildings have a long lifespan. Thus, energy efficiency is important for houses being built. Better energy efficiency for existing buildings is the biggest challenge. Renewable energy. The share of renewable energy use is high in Sweden. Hydro, wind, and solar power together accounted for 49.8% of the electricity produced in the country in 2014. Since 2003, Sweden has supported renewable energy in the electricity sector with a green electricity certificate obligation for retail power suppliers. The current plan of the certificate system is to support 25 terawatt-hours of new renewable electricity generation by 2020. Within the context of the European Union's 2009 Renewables Directive, Sweden is working towards reaching a 50% share of renewable energy in gross final consumption of energy, electricity, heating, cooling, and transportation by 2020. Eurostat reported that Sweden had already exceeded the directive's 2020 target in 2014. In 2013, renewable energy investment was more than $1 billion in Sweden. Wind power accounted for 2.4% of the electricity production in Sweden in 2010, 5% in 2012. Sweden has wind power potential of 510 terawatt-hours at land and 46 terawatt-hours at sea. Consumption was 140 terawatt-hours of power in 2010. In 2013, Sweden was second top country for wind power capacity per inhabitant in the world, 488 W per person. In correlation, one must note that Swedish use of energy per inhabitant is much higher than average in Europe. Wave power. Sweden has a wave power station outside Lysekil. Hydroelectric power in Sweden accounts for more than half of energy production. More than 1,900 power stations operate all over the country. 45 produce 100 megawatts and over, 17 produce 200 megawatts and over, and 6 produce 400 megawatts and over. The largest station, which is located on the upper Lule River, has a maximum production capacity of 977 megawatts. The Lule River is also the most productive river, with almost 18% of the Swedish installed effect. Almost all of the medium to large plants are located in northern Sweden. Solar power. While installations have historically been minimal, solar power has recently been growing quickly in Sweden, with the country's cumulative PV capacity nearly doubling in 2014 to 79 megawatts. Biofuels. Sweden aims for a fossil fuel-free vehicle fleet by 2030. Sweden published the sustainability criteria for biofuels, which consider the areas with high biological values to be protected in respect to fuels production. The feedstock origin used for production of bioliquids in Sweden during 2011 was Sweden 49%, the Netherlands 17%, United States 17%, Finland 6%, Belgium 3% and other 8%. Palm oil is often pointed out as a dirty feedstock for biofuels. None of the Swedish companies used palm oil in 2011. The largest share of feedstock for bioliquids comes from the forest industry in the form of tall oil pitch, tall oil and methanol. In 2013, the bus fleets in more than a dozen cities relied entirely on biomethane. Local plants produced more than 60% of the total biomethane used in Swedish natural gas vehicles, and more filling stations were opened in 2012 and 2013. Göteborg Energy has a 20 MW facility that gasifies forest residues and then converts the synthesis gases, hydrogen and carbon monoxide, into biomethane. Thermal and nuclear. Nuclear is dominating in this sector. The other operational plant is, in almost all cases, fueled with renewable fuels. Oil plants are few, and are either decommissioned or used as a reserve. Nuclear power. More than 35% of the Swedish electricity is produced by 10 nuclear reactors, spread out on 3 power stations. Ringhals nuclear power plant, 3 pressurized water reactor, 1 boiling water reactor, 4 2 gigawatts. Oskarshamn nuclear power plant, 3 BWRs, 2 6 gigawatts. Forsmark nuclear power plant, 3 BWRs, 3 2 gigawatts. Before 2005, there were 12 reactors, but the 2 BWR reactors at the Barsebäck nuclear power plant were decommissioned in 1999 and 2005. Global warming. According to Energy Information Administration, the CO2 emissions from energy consumption of Sweden were in 2009 54.77 mt, slightly below Finland 54.86 mt. Despite the difference in the population, the emissions per capita were in Sweden 5.58 and in Finland 9.93 tons per capita in 2009.